think getting your name out there, marketing is huge. A lot of newbies underestimate the importance of marketing, but I tell them to market immediately. I'm like, start marketing and be consistent.
All right, guys, what's up? We've got a awesome podcast for you today. So I've got one of my longest lasting clients here. I don't know if longest lasting is a good phrase, but she's been with me for a very long time. And she's actually out of Las Vegas, and I'll let you introduce yourself in a second, Brittany. But, you know, the big thing you're going to learn in this podcast, I think, is business 101 and, you know, how to find the right trainer and stuff like that. Because Brittany actually went from being a solo artist a few years ago to now she's got, 8 artists, 6 apprentices, so doing really great. Her business is blowing up even through the pandemic. And so, Brittany, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Brittany. Some of you may know me as Ink by Brit. That's my handle on Instagram. And I am in Las Vegas, like Jake said, and I've been working with him for a while, so I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So, you've been working with me for a while. We looked up the numbers, and what would we say, fall of 2017?
Yep.
So I think your first big testimonial video for me was like exactly 3 years ago. All right, so tell us about how you started in the permanent makeup industry. Was that your first year, 2017?
It wasn't. I went to school in 2005.
Okay.
And the industry has changed a ton. I moved to Vegas though in like 2016, 2000 maybe 17. And so I'd taken a little bit of a break to move and started back in the fall of 2017 is what we decided. And I was just working one day a week. I was brand new to the area and it was just starting this new business over, right? I had the experience, but it was starting a new area. Started out one day a week.
Yeah, that's always tough, is moving to a new area because nobody knows you.
Yep. Yeah, and if someone's going to tattoo your face, you want to know that they're trustworthy, right?
Yep. All right, so let's fast forward, and now you have, like we said, 8 artists and 6 apprentices. So when did you start, transitioning from being just, an artist to more of a trainer?
I transitioned to a trainer about 3 years ago. When I first moved to Vegas, I was doing just the one day a week, and I didn't realize that there was a 6-month apprenticeship required at the time because I had already had my work experience. And I started marketing with you, and I was getting busier and busier and busier, and people were reaching out to me all the time asking if I did the apprenticeship. And I knew that a lot of newer artists who had less than a year under their belt were offering this service, and I felt like I had a wealth of knowledge of things not to do as well as what to do that I could help these new apprentices with. So that's kind of when I started. Was my business was starting to boom, and about 3.5 years ago I decided to open up the academy.
Awesome. So yeah, that's always a big topic for new artists because there's a lot of them the past couple of years. They're always wondering what not to do, what to do. So what are kind of your big tips on that?
I would say check out artists that do have experience under their belt. Also that have a wide range of services. Microblading is really, really popular right now, and that's great, but you need to be able to offer other services as well, especially in our world. There's so much more to permanent makeup than just microblading. So for me, that's what I find is valuable in looking for a trainer, is someone who is able to offer a lot of services so that you can have a big toolbox. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree because, I think having multiple services gives you more credibility because I think there's a saying like if you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if you only offer one service, everyone expects you to sell them that one service. But even if you have multiple styles of brows, then you can kind of tailor it to that specific client,
Yep. Yeah. Lots of clients need different services.
So let's say I'm a new artist starting out and I just heard this and I only know microblading. How long do you think I should just be a microblading artist before I start looking into other types of, styles or lips or trainings, stuff like that?
I would say immediately, because most people aren't a great candidate for microblading. Most people need machine work. So I would say immediately.
That's interesting because I feel like a lot of times with, businesses want to make money. And so sometimes they might push microblading on people who are not good candidates, and that might give the industry a bad name. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it does give the industry a bad name. I started out doing the microblading training and I did a handful, a small amount, and I realized immediately that was not the best route. It needs to be more machine work with maybe a little bit of microblading.
Yeah, for sure. And to me, that seems like the most appealing style is like, I guess they call it powder brows or ombre brows. Those are usually my favorite looking type, or combo brows, I guess is what you were describing.
Yep, yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
And
So,
most clients can have it, so it's a better option all around.
yeah, your brows look nice. What are those?
Mine are microbladed.
Awesome.
Yep.
So, a lot of people listen and they're like, "Oh, you've been working with me for 3 years," and that's awesome because it's, I feel like marketing, finding a right marketer is almost like staying married these days. Like a lot of people like, bounce from people to people, and I call it shiny marketer syndrome because everyone's looking for the
Yeah.
next magic bullet. Um, what would you say have been the benefits or the mindset of being able to stick with one person for 3 years?
Well, first of all, I had really great results with you, and that was obviously beneficial for me. I saw growth in my business. I was gaining traction, so I felt like there was no reason to change when I was seeing results. But I believe in consistency always in every aspect of my business. I think you have to be consistent. It's just like if you're jumping from, let's say salon to salon, it doesn't look good for your business. Same thing with a marketer. If you're always bouncing around and jumping around, it just doesn't look right, and it's just not as consistent.
Yeah, and you never really get into a good flow because I know a lot of my strategies are based on, retargeting or using data that we have from the past, and so the people who do 2 or 3 weeks don't get that advantage. The other thing I like to point out because I see a lot of, and the reason I'm bringing this up, I've seen a lot of posts on groups about who can get the most bookings the quickest and stuff like that. The thing is with advertising, you can ask any experienced marketer or business owner. It takes, I'm not going to say it takes time, but it's not always the same every month of the year or every season. There are different seasons where it's a little bit slower. We just got out of one of those seasons, the holidays. The holidays are
Yep.
always slow for marketing. Different aspects. I'm talking more about advertising because you're competing with all the other companies. But do you find that sometimes it might be slower, sometimes it might be faster, and then how do you deal with that to make sure it's consistent?
Yes, I definitely feel like there's slower times, but I feel like marketing for me has kept the slower times easier to manage because it's kept me booked out longer than I have been in the past. So while I do feel like there are slower times, I feel like marketing makes those times easier. It's more
Yep.
bearable. It doesn't feel as slow.
Yep, exactly. Because I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they wait till they desperately need marketing to get serious about it, and then by that time, it does take momentum to build up, and it's almost too late for in the short term. So the good thing is with you've been long term with me. You have leads from the past 3.5 years, and so do you find that people that reached out to you years ago are finally booking, or like how do you see that working?
Yes. Yep, all the time. I get it every single day. Clients come in and they say, I've been following you for years.
Yeah.
So I think that's why consistency is important. I may have gotten them as a follower 3 years ago, but maybe they finally saw that one brow that I posted this week and they're like, okay, this is it, I'm doing it. Or they finally have that money or whatever the reason is, they finally do it. So you have
Yep.
people watching, so it's best to just keep going and stay consistent.
Yep, exactly. So let's talk about turning leads into bookings. So I think sales is a big thing that a lot of people lack because they just don't have any experience in it. And there's obviously different types. There's phone sales, consultations, there's messenger. How do you feel, or I guess, what do you feel are the best tactics that have helped you the past few years in sales?
I think being personable is good. I think being knowledgeable is good, and following up. And also, I like to always have kind of the last word, if you will. I always like to
Hmm.
say, "Thanks for your time" or "You're welcome." I don't like to leave it as nothing. I think it's really important to make sure that they have all the information and then say thank you.
Yes, like whether I'm reaching out to a business or even watching some of my clients handle their leads, it always shocks me how many times we forget about common courtesies when we're talking to a lead, because that's a human being on the other side of the phone. So
Hmm.
saying things like thank you or you're welcome, it's just it's basic, but it helps.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Uh, let's talk about follow-ups. And so, because obviously 99% of people don't book the first time they see any ad or product, and the 1% that do are impulse buyers, and those are usually not good clients. And so, how do you feel like the best way to follow up is from your experience?
I think that time is really important when I'm following up. I like to do it sooner rather than later. Give them a day or two to really think about it, and then I like to check in and just say, "Is there anything I can help you with?" Or "Do you have any questions for me?" So yeah, I like to do it, within a day or two.
Perfect. And then, for those that don't book within a day or two, how long do you wait, or do you ever follow up with them again?
Um, yeah, I would say I probably follow up again about a week or so later. Um, and then I'm always hopeful that I always invite people to like my
Hmm.
Facebook or my Instagram page as well. If they comment or like something, I'll invite them to follow it. And I feel like that's also another good way to um, have that follow up, is to be consistent with posting, and they can still see that I'm there. I'm consistently posting and doing artwork.
Yeah, I like to call those touch points. So a lot of people think following up or sending someone a direct message or calling someone is the only way to sell. You got to have a certain number of touch points on average to book someone, or to turn them into a paying client. And posting content is a touch point because they see your
Hmm.
posts, they see your stuff, if they're following. So yeah, I think that's a good point. Um, all right, so switching over to, because obviously talking to leads and sales, takes time. So what have you found is a good, or maybe you're still working on it, work-life balance? That's always a fun question, work-life balance.
That's a hard one. Because I really like to make sure that all my emails, all my leads are always caught up morning and night. That's like a really big thing to me. Before I go to bed, my emails have to be caught up. When I wake up in the morning, my emails have to be caught up. But I really try hard to every day literally put my cell phone in a drawer so that I can check out, because otherwise I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because I love emailing people back. I love booking clients. It like brings a high to me. It's so fun. But I really try to, when I am home for the day, putting my phone in a drawer. Otherwise, I'm always on my phone, and because it's so fun being an entrepreneur. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
um, but I do try to separate the two by doing those things.
Yeah.
Weekends, I try hard, but
Yeah, it's hard because like I think I was reading a book yesterday that talked about how like we associate certain actions with different rooms or different devices and things, but it's hard with cell phones because you have so many different activities you can do on that one phone, and it's hard to separate work or life when you always have access to everything on that device.
mhm. Well, one thing that has helped with my phone is I have turned my notifications off.
Hmm.
Otherwise, my phone is like buzzing all day long. So turning those notifications off has helped me.
Yep.
There's actually an app too called Our Pact that I use for my kids, and I've even uploaded my own phone to it, where I can set a schedule on it, and it'll turn my phone off during certain hours.
Wow.
I
What's
love
that
that.
called?
It's called Our Pact, OurPact.
Nice.
So I love it for that reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Yeah, I mean, work-life balance is always, I think it's a constant. It's different for everyone, but everyone has to kind of figure out what works for them, and there's different seasons of our life, So that's something that I'm always interested in with every successful entrepreneur, is asking them about their work-life balance. Do you work on the weekends, or like you have an off day?
I do work on weekends. Periodically. I find that I'm doing more office stuff, work stuff on the weekends than actually behind the table. Um, like projects at the shop. When you have your own shop, you have to do maintenance and things like that. So I do work the weekends, but sometimes I do split it up and try to take one of the days off. Like I'll work Saturday but take Sunday off.
Now, do you have an assistant?
I do. I do, and she's awesome. She does so much for me, and I have to. I have to delegate things, otherwise that work-life balance is off. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, it's almost impossible. Like when you get to your level, and you said you're getting 20 or 30 leads a day. Uh, you're losing money if you don't have an assistant. I think because unless you're not booked out and you have time to answer those, which are a lot of new artists are like that. But when you get to your situation, when you're booked out, you're training and stuff, you have to have some kind of assistant.
Yep, absolutely. And she's awesome. I've trained her the way that I like to have the leads responded and she does. She does awesome, and she helps me respond as well.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about business 101, tips for new artists, or maybe these are good tips or refreshers for people who are more experienced business owners. So what would you say would be like one or two of your top tips you give all your new apprentices or new artists that you come in contact with?
I tell all my newbies to show up. I feel like that's the biggest thing. You have to show up. You have to be consistent. I think getting your name out there, marketing is huge. A lot of newbies underestimate the
Yeah.
importance of marketing. But I tell them to market immediately. I'm like, start marketing and be consistent. So I don't know, showing up, marketing, and not quitting. It's so easy to be an entrepreneur and want to quit.
Yep.
I still want to sometimes, That's not
Yep.
going to happen. But
All right. So showing up, I love it. Cool. What are your top tips for finding a trainer for someone who's either looking for a basic class or even advanced techniques?
I think when you're looking for a trainer, I think someone who does have experience. I think somebody who has other artists who are working um, and have results as well, like their students are working and they have good
Hmm.
results. Someone who isn't going to disappear on you. You can tell that they're involved and they want to be a support system.
And one other question I wanted to ask you that I see is a common issue, but I don't have the most experience doing it since I'm not there to do it for them. Give us some of your best picture taking tips to have the great, picture, before and after picture, etc.
They need a good camera. Most iPhones nowadays have really good cameras, or even Samsungs, whatever you use, have
Hmm.
really good cameras. Good lighting, that's really good. And it's important to make sure your lighting is the same with your before photo and your after photo. And also the angles. Work on your angles. I have a lot of like newbies that'll come up and they'll take a picture from like the bottom of the nose up, and all you see is like nose hairs. And people will comment and people will notice that. And your client won't be happy when they see that picture, because you want the client to have a whole experience too. Um, so you need the picture to be good so that they're also happy with their own picture too. That's pretty important. So make sure that the lighting's the same. Yeah, the angle's good.
Awesome. So what light do you use?
I use an 18-inch ring light.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Nice.
love it.
Yeah, I recently bought on Amazon just like I think it was like a 12-inch ring light just to do like Instagram stories and stuff. But it's crazy how much a little light makes a huge difference.
Hmm. Yep.
And that's what people don't understand. They can use their smartphones, get a $15 tripod and a $30 ring
Yep.
light, and make some great videos.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I mean, like I'm recording on right now, but I have a expensive Sony camera. But honestly, most of the time I prefer my phone because it records in
Yeah.
4K. It's an iPhone.
Well, and it's so easy to upload your photos that way too, and videos
Yeah.
and everything. It's so much easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. Instead of having to try to download them off the memory card and
Hmm.
all this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great. So let's jump right back into advertising real quick, just to because I want to nail that home for people on what do you think is now that you've experienced me and stuff. What do you think are key attributes that or areas that I might help with? And I'm not trying to sit here and sell myself or anything. I want people to understand the benefit of actually working with someone instead of trying to do everything themselves.
Well, the benefits are, for me personally, is I can say, Jake, what is my ad doing this month? And you can tell me what the numbers mean.
Hmm.
For me, I know what they mean now, but at first it was maybe a little bit overwhelming, and I didn't know if that was where I wanted to be, if those were the right numbers, and you were able to walk me through all of that. So that is one huge thing. Um, I feel like for me, it's another thing to delegate and not worry about. And I don't know, using your services, I don't know, are just it helps me bring in more clients that I may have missed and expand my business.
Yeah, I think delegating is a huge thing that a lot of people are not comfortable with when they start. Um, it's just like my yard right here. Like I could mow it myself if I wanted to, um, but that takes a certain amount of time, out of the week, which I could be doing other things that I'm actually good at or that make more money. And so, not only that, but Facebook ads are always changing. Like I literally have a call every 2 to 3 weeks with a Facebook ads rep, and he goes over like insider information because like it's constantly changing. Ad platforms are changing, the rules are changing. I'm sure a lot of people recently saw the iOS 14 rules. So there's always things we have to work around or change, and it's not easy to keep up with all the changes, and I'm dedicated to doing that. So I can't imagine someone trying to do it all themselves effectively, which I don't think most people do it themselves effectively, anyways. But all right, so let's bring this podcast to a conclusion. Real quick before we end, I just want to recap, like over the past 3.5 years we had working together. Do you have any specific like growth or numbers or anything that like how much did you grow? I know everybody's wanting to know that.
I grew a ton, and I'm still growing. I started out in a one room in the back of a salon, and then eventually moved up to the front of the salon into a 3 bedroom, and then opened up my own spot where I have 8 beds. So I was always constantly growing and getting bigger, and I still am growing and getting bigger. I'm doing my first training in another city this month, and yeah, I owe it a lot to marketing. So I'm still growing, but there's always room for growth. Even this last year, I grew during the pandemic. I was still able to grow my business. So there's always room for growth.
Nice. And one thing I want to emphasize to people is like I'm not sitting here taking credit for her success. Like I always tell people when they sign up with me, it is a team effort because like you're a hustler. You work hard. You've always worked really hard, and so I'm not sitting here trying to take your thunder or anything because I think that credit goes to you for being awesome, for working hard, for doing all that stuff. You're very ambitious, I've seen, because like people don't just run a few ads and then hire 8 people or hire 12 people. Like that's a lot of that is much credit to you. So I just wanted people to know that.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, I definitely think hard work definitely goes with it, but you have to be consistent with both. And like you said, we're a great team.
Yep, teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yep.
All right, cheesy quote of the day complete.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for this interview. I know it's helped a lot of people and a lot of good information here. If you ever want to follow Brittany, you said your Instagram handle was Ink by Brit, right? And that's
Yep.
two T's?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Ink by Brit with 2 T's on Instagram. Go check out her stuff. Go comment, go like her stuff to show her some support for giving us all this cool info. Anyways, hope you have a great week, Brittany, and we'll definitely be in touch, of course.
Thanks. You too, Jake.
All right, bye.